Hey, and I believe it started. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. It is Friday evening at 5:10 p.m., and I'm trying again on a TikTok live. Before anyone gets here, I just want to say I do answer every question in a live. I attempt to anyway. But if you don't ask your question, you are free to email me or message me on any of my social media platforms. Sweet. And hello, Aviation 1. All right. I'm slowly getting better at this. I'm still learning. I still have not figured out how to put the chat on the screen yet. And to be honest, I haven't tried. I haven't dived into, haven't tried too hard to do that. So if you have a question, you can ask it, and then I'll do my best to answer it. And unfortunately, you're not gonna be able to see the chat window like you can on Linus Tech Tips. 'Cause he has a whole production studio and I'm just a dad. So I did put up a video yesterday. I won't get a lot of views. There's no airplanes in it. It's just me talking to the camera like I am right now. But I did finish out the month of October at 110 hours of total credit toward my paycheck. And I think I flew about 80-ish hours, I think. But pretty good month. Going forward to November, I'm almost positive I'm gonna have a 76-hour paycheck because I have very little time to fly due to family stuff we're doing. Do you Fridays at the end of the week are the same way as us mere mortals? No, because I'm so junior right now that today's my Sunday, right? This month I'm working some weekends, so I'm on reserve tomorrow. So today's my Sunday, and it's my wife's Friday and my kid's Friday. So it's kind of funny that it's Friday for three of us, but it's Sunday for me. I am on reserve for the next. Actually, I'm on reserve right now, but they're not. They didn't use me today, so I am on reserve the next 3 days. So today is my. I guess today is my Tuesday. Yeah, I'll say no, today's my Monday, and tomorrow's my Tuesday. So there's that. No Hawaii anytime soon. Those trips, especially in the wintertime, they tend to go very senior. Because again, when it gets cold, people want to fly to Hawaii. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that when I was on the Airbus, I flew to the Caribbean islands a lot, especially in the winter. I would fly to the Caribbean islands to avoid having to deal with the coldness. So I'm just turning my air conditioner down because these lights in front of me, even though they're LEDs, they make the room quite warm. My most recent flight actually was yesterday. There'll be a video about this. I'm working on it. It's my next video I plan on making. So yesterday I flew an empty airplane, an empty 777-300 for a whole like 112 nautical miles. It was a ferry flight from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And so I'm working on the video now, and I can't shoot in-flight video. So what I'm trying to do for my next video is going to be combining my actual video footage within Microsoft Flight Sim. So I'll have some flight sim footage and my real footage, and I'm going to try to explain, you know, how we got out of Tulsa with an empty airplane. And we had some challenges yesterday. It wasn't ferry flights, which is meaning an empty airplane. They very rarely go on time or smoothly. There's always some kind of hiccup. And yesterday should have been a very standard flight, right? It was a beautiful day in North Texas, beautiful day in Southern Oklahoma. The plane came out of maintenance. It was just there for some kind of modification, nothing major, but it was ready to go. Right? They drove us from the terminal over to the airplane. We saw it. I did my pre-flight before we went up to the airplane. Captain went upstairs. I flew with him once before in London, so he knew me. Walked upstairs. He had everything programmed already. He's been on the plane a long time. He's very, very senior. And then we're getting we're going through the motions and putting clearance in and yada yada. And I happened to look down. We had a lot of gas on board. We had 80,000 pounds of fuel on board. We only needed about 26,000 pounds of fuel. I'm like, uh-oh, we got a problem. What? And I said, hey, I'm new, but I'm pretty sure we can't have all that fuel in the center tank. And the issue was we had 50 some odd thousand pounds of fuel in our center tank and 16,000 pounds per wing. So 80,000 pounds total, right? Well, our manual says we can't take off with any fuel in the center tank well, we can have 3,000 pounds in a center tank, but the wings need to have the most of the fuel first, right? So we had to either fill up the wings or defuel the center tank, and they both take a long time. And so the option they gave us was to defuel the center tank, and it took 45 minutes to defuel 50,000 pounds of fuel. And so that'll be for my next video. If you get glasses online, what's the site? I get glasses online from lots of places. These are my recent glasses. They came from a website called Mookle, Muukal, I believe. You can get 3 pair of glasses for $119. Very good deal. And I've had no problems with my Mookle glasses. Muukal. How many years did you finish your flight school? 1. Thank you, RJ Fly. Hey, JM. Have you started any winter ops refreshers? So that's currently done via CBT. I haven't started. I'm gonna probably do my CBTs on my next trip. And I'm waiting to finish them because I get a pay raise at the end of the month. So whenever I finish my CBTs, that's whatever rate I'm on then is what I'm paid at. So it's like an $8 an hour raise, but it's $8, right? So I'm gonna probably start my CBT soon. It does include the winter refresher. We did some stuff already last quarter. But yeah, we'll do CBTs for winter refresher soon. How many years I got that ready? Have you heard what happened to I heard about the flight last night. I don't know anything else about it. There was a rumor about somebody being in the airplane, but the airline said there was no one down there. So you're going to become an Airbus captain? Yes. I will not be staying on. I plan to not stick on a 777 as a first officer for the next 15 years. I have 16 years left. Yeah. I imagine I'll be a 777 first officer probably through next summer. Yeah. And I'll probably bid to go training next fall for Airbus captain. Do you have the feeling that the MT 777 is harder to fly? It's different, Patrick. So yesterday, taking off, so let's be in my next video. But you can never assume how quickly the plane takes off, as far as how much an empty airplane won't take off any faster than a full airplane. The reason being, we rarely ever use a full power takeoff, and that's on every jet I've ever flown. I've flown 6 different types of jets. Doing a full power takeoff is extremely, extremely rare. Even when we're full, it's very rare to do a full power takeoff. Now, when we're empty, like we were yesterday, we double derated the engines. So we went from having a full power takeoff, and we took off 20% of the power right away. Then we said, you know what? Let's derate it even further by tricking the engines. It's a standard practice, and telling the engine that it's really hot outside. So if you're a human, we're all human beings. When it's hot outside, if you run outside, you can run further when it's cooler outside than when it's hotter outside, right? So that's similar to a jet engine. Jet engines make more power when it's colder and less power when it's hotter. So what we do, we told the plane, hey, pretend today is 56 degrees Celsius outside, which is a crazy high number in Fahrenheit. But by tricking the engines, it's going to make less power for takeoff. Why do we want less power? Well, it saves fuel, it's less noise, it reduces engine wear, and when you do a high power takeoff, yes, engines are very safe, planes are very safe, they're very controlled, but it's a lot of stress on the engine. So when you do a reduced power takeoff, it's much less stress on the engine. I was once told by a very experienced captain and a guy who knew a lot about aviation that there's never been a single engine failure on takeoff when they did a reduced power takeoff. Take it for what it's worth. That wasn't caused by FOD, something entering the engine. La 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 la. How many years? I finished you in 1 year. How was your bidding looking this month? Crappy. So, so recently I bid for a Frankfurt, Germany trip, somewhere new, right? Didn't get it because of lots of bidding rules. It's almost always London for me. Where is heavy maintenance for you done for 777, my airline? I have no idea. I know they do maintenance in Tulsa. I had no idea where else to do maintenance, though. Hoping that you get a Buenos Aires flight. So, speaking of Buenos Aires, it is not a premium trip. I could have gone there today, actually. I didn't bid for it. But I do want to go to Buenos Aires, and maybe on my next 4-day, because right now it's a 4-day trip at my airline, because you go up on, let's say, I'll go up on Monday night, get there Tuesday morning. I'm there all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and I leave Wednesday night coming in Thursday morning. So as a local, it's kind of nice that I have. So on day one, you don't leave till 10 o'clock at night. So I have all day one with my family. Then I fly in day two. I get in the morning. I can go to the hotel, relax, and chill, explore Buenos Aires, go to bed. We'll get the next morning, explore some more, take a nap, and then fly back. So I'm hoping to do it sometime this month. Do you think hiring window will be open in 3 to 5 years? Yes. So we still fly across the pond as an Airbus captain? No. Just heard about this popular electronic logbook for pilots. Using an electronic logbook is very popular. I do recommend, though, when you are just starting out, to use a paper logbook. It's easier to keep your endorsements. Now, what you can do if you're just starting, you can do both. You can have a paper logbook and still make an electronic logbook. And then when you finish all your basic ratings, you can take your paper logbook, put it somewhere extremely safe, like in a fire safe somewhere, and then from that point on, use electronic. I caution you, if you want to use an electronic logbook, have a very good backup system. And not just backing up locally. Every week, take your data and back it up online somewhere in like 2 different places. Google Drive, Amazon Drive, iCloud, Google Drive, in case something weird happens. I know the engine stuff as I mastered aerospace engineering. So you know engine stuff. So yeah, so we use a flex power takeoff on every takeoff for the most part. Again, on the Airbus, we use this one number called flex. We just told the engines to pretend it's different temperature, the FADEX. On the Boeings, again, Boeing is new to me, 777 is new to me, we can do a double D rate. So we can do a TO takeoff, TO1, TO2. 2 is less power, 20% less power. And then further derate it by having an assumed temperature as well. Tips for teenagers dreaming to become pilots: don't do anything stupid. And I'm being serious. If you do any kind of legal infractions with the police as a teenager, that could affect your future job as an airline pilot. But join professional organizations. You can join AOPA as a teenager. OBAP has ACE academies for teenagers where you spend a full week fully in depth with aviation. You get to touch airplanes. You get to fly an airplane. Many of them you can fly a sim. You get to go talk to air traffic control. You can go talk to mechanics. You do lots of things with aviation over that course of a week. OBAP ACE Academy. Look it up. Aren't these long hauls exhausting? No, neither. These long hauls are not. I think that they are a long flight, right? Flight to London is 9 hours, 10 hours back. But for that 9 hours, I am sleeping or resting for 3 of those hours. So I'm only on the flight deck for 6 hours. That's pretty easy. Now, it is in the middle of the night, and it is a different time to fly. But most of the time, when I come back, I can come back home, good night's rest, and I'm good the next day. So it's different kind of flying, but I'm not as exhausted as I thought I would be initially. I should move this computer here so I can look up at the camera. All right. I do answer every question. How do your kids respond to being gone? I'm sure they are used to it now. They're very used to it. I started flying before we had kids, right? So I'm home a lot, but especially my oldest, she learned at maybe 2, 3 years old when I put on my uniform, I was gonna be gone for a couple days. But it's never been an issue. I've always kind of tried to prioritize my time at home versus flying. So I make a lot of kid events. I do miss some events. They have both grown up seeing me on a computer screen when I call home a video call to come home. But I'm not gone as much as people thought I would be, or I am. Even when I was on the Airbus, I had 8 nights in hotels a month. Most people that work an office job, they work 8 to 5, right? And people in my neighborhood who live in Dallas, I talk to them, right? They work in Dallas. I live in Arlington. So when they have small kids, they're up at 6 in the morning, driving their kids to daycare, dropping off at 6:30 in the morning. Then they go to work. They get there about 7:30. They work all the way until 4:30, 5 o'clock. Then they get to drive an hour home in traffic, get home to daycare about 6:30 at night, picking up their kid who's the daycare took them to school, pick them up from school, pick up their kid from daycare at 6:30, come home by 7, eat dinner, and put them to bed. So they see their kids about an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, maybe, right? And that's for 5 days a week. And then they see them all day on weekends. For me, I typically work 3 to 4 days a week, right? And when I'm gone, I am absolutely gone. But I'm home at least 1 or 2 days during the school weeks, right? So I can have my kids up in the morning. I make them breakfast, and then I see them off to school. I pick them up from school. We have dinner together, and we have evening together, and they go to bed. So it's a different dynamic, but we're all very used to it now. I chose 777 over 787 because I could not hold the 787 with my seniority at the time I bid it. I bid them both, couldn't hold 787 at the time. Top two headphones for flight school, cheap and cheap. Don't buy a Bose. If and most people that are going to flight school, you're low on money. You don't have a ton of money, right? Um, Try to get like David Clamps, David Clarks, whatever the cheap David Clarks are. That's fine. Don't go buy Bose. If you don't have a lot of money, don't go buy Bose. Whatever you buy, make sure it protects your ears. I don't care how cool you look. When you lose your hearing, it's gone for good. And I've lost hearing over the years. Absolutely, I have. Get good hearing protection. It's the most important thing. I don't care how cool you look. So David Clamps, they have the big thick gels. That's fine. What regional airlines did you fly for? How long did you stay there before going to majors? I flew for the original American Eagle, now called Envoy. I was there 10 years. I had bad timing. Part of me being there 10 years was my own fault. What I recommend to young people now, especially getting into this industry, is don't get comfortable if you're not at your forever airline. Your first airline, and if you want to go to a regional and stay there for life, there's nothing wrong with that. The man that interviewed me at American Eagle back in 2007 is still there. He has a great career. He loves what he does. He has weekends off, holidays off. He works when he wants to. He makes a great living financially. Nothing wrong with that. But when you get to your regional, your first year, you're on probation. Keep your nose low to the ground, follow the rules, survive probation, because they can fire you for almost anything that first year. Once you're off probation, your primary job is not flying for that airline anymore. It is getting to your forever airline. Myself, small, quick story about that. Why it took me 10 years to get out of my regional. And I interviewed. I interviewed here. I didn't get flow. I could have flown over here. I interviewed here. I learned to fly with three other gentlemen. They're all younger than me, and none of them had kids, and none of them were already married. But that's beside the point. When we first got to our regionals, I was at Eagle. One guy went to Republic, and two went to ASA that turned into ExpressJet. That now they're defunct. But the three of them, after that first year, even before that, they started volunteering and networking, going to job fairs and networking. And they kept calling me, "Hey, Darren, come out with us. Hey, Darren, fly out here to Vegas. Hey, Darren, fly out here to Atlanta. Go to this job fair." I said, "Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good." "Hey, Darren, come volunteer with us." "Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good." After 5 years, they had all gone to the majors. One was JetBlue, two was to Delta. One of them was a captain at Delta before I ever left Eagle. And it was my own fault. I got comfortable. Now, once I saw them all leave, I'm like, well, crap. I guess I gotta get my butt into gear, right? But by that point, here it is 2013, and that was a downturn in the economy. And it was a merger of my parent company with US Airways. So that kind of slowed me down a bit. It was my own fault. But I started going to job fairs around year 7, and then it took me 3 years of job fairs to get my interview here. So it's what it is, right? Thank you, James. Did anyone? I do answer every question. La, 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 la. Anyone show up in a pilot costume? One person yesterday. Would the 777 do Australia? They could, but it's not as fuel efficient as the 787 is, so they just send the 787 down there. A Republic captain with a pretend KCM and employee badge. Hey, that's a good costume. I will never go to Southwest. Ever. Ever. There's nothing wrong with Southwest, but I don't want to fly one plane for the rest of my career. And I like driving to the airport and flying across the pond. Right? I can fly across the ocean. You and I have that happen Southwest. 7 will not be my last wide body now. Hey, from Midlothian. I've been there. I've flown to the airport before. Do I get to choose a plane when I go to airlines? You can. I am live, Blake. Just following up on the kid question, what's the best way to build a routine if you're working 12 on and 10 off? Wow. I've never done 12 on, 10 off before. That's different. I bet you're doing cargo. Are you doing 135 on-demand charter stuff? I have no idea how to do that. I've never done that before. I'm sorry I can't answer that question. I have people go from being a dispatcher to being a pilot. Yes, and that's a good question, Blake. Um, so two of the biggest barriers to being a pilot are money and genetics. You can't change your genetics, and your money's kind of hard to change as well. So, but as far as the money route, though, right? If you're 18 to 23 years old, it's hard to get a loan for that much money, right? What I recommend is getting a job, learning how to live when you're 18 to 20 years old. Know what it means to save money and earn money. Don't let money be the barrier to you being an airline pilot. Now, I believe the earliest you can be a dispatcher is 21 or 23. Someone might have to look it up. But my point is, you can get a dispatcher training course for under $8,000. That loan you can get when you have a job and you have some money in the bank and you prove to the world that you can survive. You become a dispatcher. You can make $50,000, $60,000 a year right away as a dispatcher, quickly going up to the six figures in a couple of years. You can then take that money and bankroll your own pilot training. Now, yes, Darren, talking to myself, you will be later in life, right? So now you might be 29 years old before you become an airline pilot, going that route. I was 29. And you know what? At least you can do it versus saying, I don't have the money to be an airline pilot. I can't do this. I cannot get approved for a loan. I can't do this. You can do it. You might have to go a different route, is all. Hey, Darren, does turbulence ever scare me? Nope. All turbulence ever does is make me mad. When we're flying along, it's making me mad. That's it. It doesn't scare me at all. Why do you think some gals decide to go Southwest over American? Why people go to pick iPhone over Android? Right? Some people like the idea, because some people hate doing long flights. I've flown with pilots on the narrow body that said, I will never ever bid a wide body. They purposely bid the 1 and 2 hour legs. They like taking off, landing, standing up, walking around, take off, landing, stand up, walk around. They can't stand long flights. Some people like the security of knowing that they've passed their type rating course and they are never taking another type rating course the rest of their life. I have 6 type ratings. Again, that's for me, right? That's on my shoulders. I don't really like having the idea that I've had 6 type ratings because I've had to learn 6 different airplanes. But hey, I'm versatile, right? But there's nothing wrong with either airline. It's just not for me. Currently flying out of IWA, love it. I've been there before. Have you ever flown to Australia? I have not flown to Australia. 6 tips for flight school and student. What helps you in flight school? I read every book. And when you are learning to fly and you're reading these books, it is a new skill, new topics. You have to accept the fact that you will not know everything. You will not understand everything, and it's fine. When you're studying and going through the ranks, you will read something 5 times. It makes no sense, but you read it and it's in your head. And then one day you'll be talking to your CFI, and they'll say something. You'll be like, "Wait a minute! Oh, wait, whoa, 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 whoa!" And lights and things are going off in your head, and it all comes together. It's fine. But try to find someone to study with that has a different mindset than you. Maybe they get VORs and you get dead reckoning, that kind of thing. How long does it take you to get moved to your current airline? 10 years in my regional. Do you plan in advance what to do when traveling to a new destination? Sometimes I do. But London I don't, because I've been there so many times that I don't. I just yeah, London is London. But whenever I go to Korea, I plan on going to Korea. There's a guy I follow on TikTok that I've saved his Korea travel videos that I want to do this stuff like that. Yeah. Starting at Southwest this holiday season. Awesome. Do you think your airline will get my airline is getting the XLR. But I don't want to fly it over the pond. It's not for me. I don't want that's not I'm learning. I am a pilot, even though I am a good at being a dispatcher. Yeah, being a dispatcher is a very good job, by the way. It's a very good job and a very important job. Will be worth it. I'm currently 33, planning to start flight training in Florida next year. Yeah, you're fine. Let's say you're 34 when you're 34 next year. If you're average like me, by the time you're 37, you have all your ratings done, right? Plus you're older, so you know how to live life. You know what it means to get stuff done, make a plan, pay bills, buy you a dollar. I'm an old man. But you're 34, by the time you're 37, you're qualified for an airline, right? $1,500. You go to your first regional, by the time you're 40, you can be captain. 3-year upgrade. You call it 41. Say things slow down a little bit. You're 41, you're captain at a regional. By the time you're 44, you can be ready to move on from that regional and go to mainline. That leaves you 21 years. And that's me being pessimistic, right? That's me being pessimistic in the whole thing. 7 years out of regional. If you hustle and bustle, you can beat that number by far. Starting ground school, late January. Any tips and YouTube channels you recommend for studying? I have no idea how to study because I haven't been in that arena in 17 years. Um, but tips for you when you're in training, especially if you're going to a fast track program, wrap up any loose ends in your social life. If you have, again, you got a girlfriend, boyfriend, and they don't like what you're doing, time to cut it off now. And it's harsh. It is what it is. Or they are the jealous type and they say, hey, you're not calling me every single night. They need to understand that, especially if you're going to a fast track program, you're not going to ignore them, but you need to be deep into the studying and less into the social stuff. I'm not saying ignore your family and your friends, but I'm also saying you don't train and then go home and play Xbox and call your girlfriend or boyfriend and chill all night long either, right? It's small conversations until you get through this phase. I'm not looking for a video editor. I'm just a guy, dude. It would be 135.91 in a Falcon right after getting my multi. It'd be great turbine time with a low total time. Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, I guess that's a hard schedule. Well, check out Tuesday. Any tips? Hunter, have fun with lazy eights and chandels. I can. If someone said, Darren, we'll give you $1,000 to go up and do a chandel right now on a 172, I would just say I can't do it. But when you're near your commercial, again, between now and Tuesday, read that ACS twice a day. Make sure you understand what's going on your check ride. And it's important to know what you are expected to do and what you're not expected to do, right? If they say, okay, let's go shoot an ILS approach, like, hold on now, this is a commercial check ride, right? So know what is on the check ride and what's not on the check ride. And set the pace of the check ride. It might have been a while since your last check ride, right? You might have done your instrument 6 months, 7 months ago, a year ago. So remember what a check ride is like. Set the pace. If they're trying to rush you, slow it down. I'm not saying pull in a slow flight, but slow. You set the pace of everything. And again, I have never had a perfect check ride. 17 years as a pilot, I have never had everything was perfect check ride. We all have little la 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 la, and good luck to you, buddy. Darren, hope you're doing very well, Trigger. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Hey, it's been a while. We know each other. Can you go to the maintenance hangar like your background behind you as a pilot at an airline? No. Hey, Mr. Bailey, glad to see you back on live. Got my first class medical. Awesome, dude. Mr. Bailey, that's a high five to you because, hey, I know who you are, man. Congratulations. Do you ever tire going to the same destinations? No. Like, again, London is my most common destination on 777. Now, it annoys me when I get London. Like, recently I bid for a Frankfurt trip, and that was it. It was one Frankfurt trip and 4 Londons. And I got London. I'm like, hey, London. But you know what? I know how to get there. I know the airspace. I know the procedures. I know the hotel. I know where I'm going to go for udon noodles. I know where I'm going to go for Whole Foods. And London is a big city, so it's fine. On a bad day, I fly at 777 to London. Epic Flight Academy works for ground school. Thank you. Study hard during the week and enjoy the Sunday off. That's a good idea. TikTok Live on YouTube. Yeah, I'm done with TikToks. TikTok, that platform has changed to the point where I am done with it. I said I was leaving TikTok and social media back in April. I think I've taken down a lot of my content on TikTok, and I'm not going to add any new content to TikTok. It's a dying platform, in my opinion. Evening, here's a question. If you take off from my airport that's high altitude, what does your height indicator show once you're airborne? Well, we have 2, right? So if we're taking off out of Bogota, Colombia, I used to fly there a lot in the Airbus, it's roughly 8,400 feet elevation. So I'm sitting on the end of the runway, my altimeter says 8,400 feet. My radio altimeter says 0 feet. That reads the height above the ground. Take off, and once I'm 100 feet in the air, it says 8,500 feet on my altimeter and 100 feet on my radar altimeter. Lyric V. I've seen the stuff about the Lyric V. I've seen only photo. I haven't seen any actual specs on it yet. You know, GM is really good at making vehicles. They've had lots of. I encourage you to join the Cadillac Lyric group on Facebook. I'm still part of it, even though I don't own a Lyric. Those of you who have no idea why I'm talking about this, I am a big electric car enthusiast. They've had lots of problems with the Lyric even now. Um, yeah. The Ultium platform, they're getting rid of the name. It's good, but yeah. I am eyeing the new Lucid Gravity SUV. Of course, I'm just saying it out loud because my wife's not here right now, but it looks pretty nice. Like, it's much more expensive. I also like the Polestars as well. Why don't you like flying in London? Okay, I fly there a lot. I have flown to London over 10 times. What's more than 10 times? Let's see. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 7 months. I didn't fly there at all 1 month. I've flown there at least 12 times. I've flown there 12. I've flown there at least twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month for the last 6, 7 months. Do you fly GA? I do not fly GA anymore. Nope. And why not? Because most of my free time is doing dad stuff. Right. Um, I had nothing against GA, but I had no desire to go to fly GA right now. Fly the new fly by wire A380. I have not. I don't like Microsoft Flight Sim. I use it today to make a video for my next video. And I typically only buy airplanes that I've type rated in, so I can do the actual procedures. Right. Like I bought a Boeing 737 like 2 years ago. Couldn't get the dang thing started. I had to use Control E to start it up because I didn't know how the plane operated, right? And I don't want to learn a new airplane just for flight sim. So I only really buy airplanes and fly airplanes on flight sim that I'm type rated in and can fly it. I bought an MD-80. It's still hard for me to get the dang thing started. So Mazdas are very good. I like Mazdas. You know, they're the little spunky company out there, right? They don't really have an EV yet, but they do have the best color red of any auto manufacturer. Their mica red color. Each time I see it, I stare at it. I had a Mazda 5 a while ago. Mazda 6. No, Mazda 5. Minivan. Someone asked you to pay for his CPO. Will you do it? No, I got kids. Do you get used to the side yokes on the Airbus? Yes, and it's very comfortable, and I miss my side stick. Lucids are bad, but wait. So the Lucid Air. They start at around $55,000, $60,000. So they're right in the lyric area. And the new Gravity SUV is to be in the $70,000 area, right? So that's in the lyric ballpark. What's your take on Boeing versus Airbus debate? Yoke versus side stick. So I've flown them both, and I prefer the Airbus side stick and the Airbus flight deck. Now, I'll say this: I bet the 787 is probably more Airbusy than the 777 is. So the 777 is very Airbusy. People think the 777 is this big, awesome Boeing airplane. It's very Airbus-like. To start the engine on the 777, it's so similar to the Airbus. It's funny. I turn one overhead switch, which on the Airbus is down here, and then I move one lever, exactly like the Airbus. They're exactly the same. They're very similar. They're both fly-by-wire. They have lots of automation. Overall, I prefer the Airbus 320 over the 777. 777 is a great airplane, but I think having this, and what also I laugh at is the size of the yoke on the 777 is so small. It's so small. It's like this giant airplane and this little bitty yoke. Just can't deal with the egg shape of Teslas. It's very aerodynamic. And I like the idea I can drive anywhere and plug in and charge. Now that is changing with the NAX port, right? And people can, plug in anywhere. But the issue you're gonna have is if you pull into a busy supercharger and a non-Tesla, and they only have one open stall, you can't go charge because you can't pull up to it correctly, right? You have to wait till there's two open stalls until they get new cords or something, right? Hey Darren, I'm working on Career 2.0, currently working on my instant rating, 45, and your videos are inspiring. Hey Nick, you got this, man. Again, I think it's an advantage to being older versus younger because we know how life is. We recommend a flight sim for students still in flight training, not for your private. Again, flight sim all day long for your instrument is fine, not for your private. What do you think about the UFO objects the military has been reporting seeing? Have I seen anything like that? Hey Kyle, if I ever saw a UFO, I'd have to do paperwork. I don't do paperwork. Also, fellow geek, gamer, and Tesla owner. Awesome. Sweet. Got to the end. And I was going to change my lights because my lights are not bright enough. This one's not bright enough. There we go. And this one over there is not going to change on me. It will not change. Sweet, got to the end. So, for the month of so every month so far, I've had a good month making, this is why I make my most recent video. I've been able to out earn what I would earn as an Airbus captain. I'm foreshadowing on November that it's probably my first month where I'm not going to do it. And, it doesn't really matter. It's just an internal mental thing. But what I thought this morning was last month I credited 110. This month I'm probably going to credit 76. That's 186 total for 2 months. Divided by 3 is 93. At 93 hours is the break even point. So, as this month, I don't have enough holes in my schedule to do extra flying because of family stuff. Is manual version of 737 a sign that it's an old design? I know literally nothing about a 737. I know nothing. I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. Uh, as far as manual version, I know like the Airbus has a version of it actually, and so does the 175, and the 145. The 777 has a version as well, but as far as the 737, I know nothing about 737. Thank you, Carlos. Why instrument and not private pilot? Because if when you are first starting to learn how to fly, it's called the law of primacy. And so here's what I've seen happen before. You've been flying on flight sim. Again, I was a huge geek as a kid. I've been flying on flight sim since I was in 6th grade. You fly in flight sim, and these new ones are much better than ones I had back then. Back then, I had to use a keyboard tapping around. You can get an actual yoke nowadays and pedals. You have this great 4K monitor. You're flying a 172 out of your local airport, and you're flying in flight sim, and you're used to how it responds and moves around. But guess what? You're flying a computer program. Planes are different. So you need to learn how the actual plane flies and how to do things correctly from a certified flight instructor and get those core habits into your system before you learn how to fly and make up stuff on your own, right? Law of primacy. Just like driving, right? If you are taught to drive by somebody who's a crappy driver, it makes you a crappy driver, right? Or you learn to drive for watching Need for Speed videos, you're not gonna do very well. What made me get into flying? Computers. I need a drink of water. Da, 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 da. Hey Nick, I'm thinking about career 2.0. CPA. I respect your career because I can't do math at all. Do you ever get weird looks from passengers when you go in for a rest in a first class seat? Sometimes I do. But again, it's only 1 or 2 people that ever see us go up there. Most of them see the empty first class seat and they're like, "Why is that seat empty?" But when I go back, I typically put a pullover on, so they just see some random guy come out who they haven't seen this whole flight and get in the seat. Get a scary flight scheduled and get up there. Yes. You ever reverse a plane like a car? No. Do you ever do things like drones? I do not. I had a drone once, like 7 years ago, and I crashed it right away. Started flying when it was coming toward me. I turned the wrong way. I started flying at 13 years old. Had about 10 hours, but then got busy with school. Fast forward 15 years later, I'm looking to book another scary flight. Hey, Dave, you can do this, man. Absolutely. So many versions still around, but sans actual cables to control the control services. Yes. Yeah. Now on the Airbus, there are actual cables, believe it or not. I still remember this. On the Airbus, if all the computers fail, which has never happened on the Airbus before, every computer fails. The rudder pedals have actual cables, and the trim wheel has an actual cable. So you control the elevator, and you control the yaw. Good luck getting down. Aside from the U.S., what other country would you fly airlines in? None. As far as me working as a pilot, nowhere because I have kids and a family. Most interesting captain I've flown with. There have been a lot. There's interesting good and interesting crazy. There's both. Crazy guy I've flown with. I don't know. Let's see if my wife's home. Either my wife's home or someone just got into my house. Let's see. And my wife is home. Okay. Whew. That's a hard story to think about though. Do you ever think of an airline brand image, airline financials before choosing a major? Nope. Do you have aircraft trading cards? Nope. Years ago, I watched my Atomic ATP video, probably once a week, before pulling the trigger. Hey, Art, Thank you. So if you ever want to see my very first video I ever made, it might be on this channel. If not, you can Google my time at ATP. It should come up on my other channel. That's not a real channel. I'm at same airline these days. Starbucks on me. Want to see a terminal? Hey, Mr. Wally, freaking awesome. Um, yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. Have you ever had to do a go around? Yes, I go around about once every 2 years in the actual airplane. Last time I had to do a go around was in the Airbus, obviously, because I've been on 7 just a few months. Airbus, it might have been 3 or 4 years ago. I was going into Charlotte, and it was my own fault. We changed runways. I forgot to activate the approach, and when I went to arm manage speed, the plane sped up, and I'm like, nope, I'm going around. What's the average age of a pilot at your airline? Oh, it's here. It's old. I think we're like in the 50s or average age. Average is older than me. I'm 47. Just want to say you make great content and have a real genuine personality. Thank you. I try to again. There's lots of people on TikTok. I'm sorry, YouTube. YouTube, and there's all kinds of personalities, right? And I have nothing against the people that do all the look how awesome I am videos and how awesome my life is videos. That's their niche. My niche is I am an exceptionally average guy who can make some video editing and can talk, and that's about it. I try to talk like it is. I don't want to sensationalize anything, and I do have to be very cautious what I present because there's a lot of stuff I can't say because even though I never say who I work for, people know who I work for. And so I can't say, I do say negative things, but I can't say some things because then I could lose my job. So I try to balance the good and bad, but I never sugarcoat anything. I will join you in 10 years' time. Hey, if you in 10 years' time, I'll still be here. Copies on me. Do you allow passengers in the cockpit on any of my flights? Yes. Before flight, you're more than welcome to walk up. Now, that's a big negative of the 777. On the Airbus and every other jet I've flown, when you board the airplane, I can see and hear passengers just by turning around, and I see them boarding the airplane. On 777, we almost never see people, and it's a very odd feeling because we board through the second door, the 2L door, right? So we board the airplane, we turn left. I almost never go back to the main cabin, but we go on the airplane and it's empty. And I go up front, I store my bags, I go outside, do the pre-flight, come back upstairs, it's empty. I get everything, all my pre-flight done before boarding even starts. And so I'm up front in the flight deck the whole time, getting everything else ready to go. And then I hear, here comes a gate agent saying, all right, Captain, calling the captain, and I'm in the back, FO, I'm FO or a relief pilot, telling me everything's ready to go, we're all boarded, ready to close the door. And in that time, 300 passengers have walked on the airplane. I haven't seen a single one of them. Every now and then I go back to use the restroom before boarding is done, and I see them in first class, but it's very odd on 777 not seeing passengers. That's the thing I miss the most. Because especially on narrow bodies on the Airbus, I could see people peeking into the flight deck every now and then, grown people and small people, right? And I would, especially if they were kids and teenagers, I would say, hey, come on up, man, come on up. And if we had time, I would get out of my seat and let them sit in my seat and take a picture. Because it's a good core memory, right? On 777, it almost never happens. Not while flying. That's it. Is it true that senior captains make up to $1 million? It's possible, but it's not common. My buddy flies 777 for AA out of Boston. It'd be funny if you were ever flew with him. Tom Miller. It's a chance. The big tech guy. I am into flight sims. That's what got me started flying a long time ago. I'm big into flight sims. I have a PC and Mac downstairs. I mostly play on X-Plane, and I will say this: over the last 3-4 months, I've done less and less and less. But I do flight sims quite a bit. I do have a yoke and pedals, and I have I have the actual Airbus side stick and the actual Airbus throttle quadrant when I flew the Airbus. I don't do as much as I used to though. And that is about it. So almost done with the live. Again, I do random lives on YouTube, mostly on Fridays or Saturdays. I do produce videos on YouTube. If you have no idea who the heck I am, my name is Darren. I'm an airline pilot, obviously. I make videos typically once a week on Thursdays. I do have an Instagram account as well. I have a Facebook page. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram. I do respond to every single message. Yeah, I think that's about it. Have you ever had an upset stomach while operating a flight as a pilot? Oh, yeah. I've had bad food before and yeah, it is what it is. Um, we're human beings, right? I do want to use Flight Sim 2024 when it comes out. You know what I'm worried about Flight Sim 2024? About having to buy a new video card. My main computer downstairs I have a 3080 in it, which 3080 was really good like 2 years ago. Now it's kind of getting kind of down. But then the 5080 won't come out till after in January, right? So I don't want to buy a new computer now because if I buy a 4080 video card, it's gonna be obsolete here in a few months. So I think I'm gonna stick with what I have now and then wait until the 5000 series comes out or at least announced, and then buy a discounted 4000 series, probably a 4080 Super, once they announce the actual production date of the 5000 series cards. Yeah, so this computer I'm on right now, this laptop is a 2070 as well. This was my old computer I used to take on trips with me in game. Um, yeah, 2070. You can probably still do 1080p simming. Stuffy nose, one time and never again. The price of the 5080 would be stupid. It'd be $3,000. You fly 777? I can afford it, but I'm also very frugal. I don't spend money very much. 390? Yeah. Yeah, I bet it's to be a memory, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see about how the graphics are. They're saying they're gonna have the graphics, be sent down to you. Maybe they'll be they can't really do that, can they? I don't know. We'll see in a few days, huh? But I think I'll be done. Again, appreciate your time. Thanks for tuning in. This should be on YouTube to watch probably instantly if you missed part of it. I'll probably be live again sometime next week. Have a great day, and as always, thank you for stopping by.